In the state of Odisha, Sijimali, Majhingmali, anti-mining resistance. So we talked about this a little bit earlier, but Adivasis in Odisha, and one of the areas is the Niamgiri Hills, the Dongriya Khons, in particular for that area. Um, they have been resisting basically mining companies like Vedanta that have been basically trying to clear the indigenous uh, homeland of Odisha for these indigenous people, for these Adivasis, so that they can accelerate their mining, their mining operations. And as a result of that, we went over that, and what happened was the rivers have been polluted. Um, the people living in that area. No, it's been happening for much longer than that. It's been happening for years at this point. That's one of the like the mining companies are the reason that people are taking arms. The mining companies uh that the mining companies that like Vedanta and whatnot are they're exactly the reason that these Adivasi ethnic groups have been taking up resistance against them. But yesterday, there was an update from Odisha in Majingmali Hill, such that a huge battalion of police is forcefully trying to go up the hilltop of Majingmali. They're planning to go to Kalagaon village to construct roads up to the hilltop. The women and the mothers have put blockades on the village roads and are on vigil. There's a constant fear of arrest in the village, and it has been nearly 3 months now since villagers are facing this on an everyday basis. So Sijimali uprising is another. So there's the Sijimali Hills that have been happening. So we talked about Niamgiri Hill. This is another hill area in Odisha called the Sijimali Hills. And again, you have the indigenous people of that particular region that have been resisting the that have been resisting the mining companies and the cops that have been working at the behest of the mining companies. So just recently, there were a couple of last I heard there was a gram panchayat, and the leaders of it were cops, government officials, and Vedanta officials, of course. So what right now what they're doing is the cops, the cops, the government officials, and the members of the Vedanta Corporation are they are taking over the gram panchayats. And gram panchayats, if you don't know, are gram panchayats are basically they're the most local governing institution of India. They're basically village councils. They're basically you may have seen Indian movies where people just gather around a tree to just discuss things. That's what a gram panchayat is. Yeah, they literally took over the village democratic setup. Nothing gets done without her permission. Yeah, it is the most localized democratic institution in India. Um Again, gram panchayats have their issues. The gram panchayats have been largely casteist as well. But in this case, the gram panchayat was originally it was originally by these Adivasi people, by these I don't know which Adivasi group is being sieged right now, but right now the mining corporation Vedanta and the cops and the higher level government administrations are taking they've been taking over these local institutions. Sorry for tangent. Do you know do you know roughly how long the anti-mining struggle has been going on for? It's been going on for years at this point. This is not a remotely have they imposed section 144? Not yet. I don't think so. The resistance against the anti-mining struggle has been going on for years at this point. That's partially why the Naxals have been going on for uh that's why you have some Adivasis that joined the Naxals, that joined the Maoists in India. And again, the Maoists have their own issues. They're not the revolutionary vanguard that Americans think they are, that outsiders think they are, or even Indian like LARPers think they are. The Naxals have their own issues too. But people, the Maoists in India have their own issues too. But they are providing an outlet for disenfranchised Adivasi people to fight against capital. What really is capital, right? They're fighting there. This is a direct fight against capital, right? What these indigenous people are doing in Odisha is a direct fight. It's a direct resistance against capital, which is why the cops are coming in to try and take over the Gram Panchayat. First off, if you guys are new here, if you guys have never watched my show before, I talk about South Asian news. I'm the Indian Hasanabi. I'm the Tamil Hasanabi. I'm talking about South Asian news. When can I watch the next stream? Next week. I stream on weekends only. Again, I stream on weekends. I would love to stream every day. Streaming doesn't pay the bills. Today, on the occasion of International Human Rights Day, while the rest of the world is celebrating the 75th anniversary of the United States adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, we express our deep concern and despair at the violation of rights of indigenous people of Sijimali Hills in Odisha. On Friday, 8th December 2023, nearly 10 buses of armed police forces were deployed across villages of Sijimali Hills to assist the district administration of Rayagada and Kalahandi to jointly unleash a reign of terror. The purpose was to coerce the indigenous people to attend hurriedly held Gram Sabhas and to validate the diversion of forest lands for the Sijimali bauxite mining project of the Vedanta Company. These tactics follow months of stiff opposition to the bauxite mining project of people, leading the state to again resort to coercive and manipulative tactics to get its own way. In its desperate attempt to manufacture the consent of the villagers, the district administration has hurriedly carried out Gram Sabhas, without prior notice, thereby rendering them illegal on this count as well. The Sijimali bauxite reserve spread over Twamal Rampur block in Kalahandi district and Kashipur block in Raigada district. In February 2023, Vedanta Limited was declared by the Odisha government as the preferred bidder to mine Sijimali bauxite reserve, which covers an area of 1,500 hectares of Sijimali Hills, estimated to have 311 million tons of bauxite. However, neither prior consultation was done with the local villagers nor consent was taken from them before leasing out the hills, even though the mining area is spread over more than 18 tribal-dominated villages under classified under Schedule 5 of the Indian Constitution due to dense presence of indigenous population within the village. Under the Panchayat Extension to the Scheduled Areas Act 1996, PESA, and the Scheduled Tribes and Other Traditional Forest Dwellers Recognition of the Forest Rights Act 2006, private mining in Schedule 5 areas cannot be allowed without prior discussion and consent by the Gram Sabhas. Yet, such statutory requirement was clearly ignored. Vedanta is a British company? No, Vedanta is an Indian company. Therefore, the process of leasing out Sijimali Bauxite Reserve is illegal and a clear violation of the PESA and FRA. As villagers started organizing themselves to resist the entry of the company for mining, the Odisha government resorted to severe repression. In early August 2023, 24 leading activists were arrested, now released on bail for 3 months on false charges. Nearly 93 people from Adivasi and Dalit communities were named along 100 others in FIRs lodged by the company officials, alleging them of rioting, murder, and several other charges under different sections of the IPC. After putting the leaders in jail, a weak and highly incomplete environment impact assessment report was put out to the public on 14 September 2023. The cultural significance of the hill is as the sacred abode of their deity, Sijimali, was ignored. The land was the main source of life, and livelihood was ignored. The state and the agents of the company also collaborated in creating a wedge within the company by conducting a rally on 5th October 2023 in favor of the quick implementation of the project. Americans, let me tell you a quick analogy that you'll understand immediately. The Keystone XL pipeline. Americans and Canadians, if you don't know what basically is happening here, this is basically the Indian equivalent of the Keystone XL pipeline on Lakota land, on Dakota land, on Sioux land. That's basically what's happening here. That is the quick equivalent I can draw. This is a direct challenge to capital that indigenous people are waging. Keystone was fucked. Exactly. It's that level of severity, basically. It's that level of severity. That's what's happening right here. My friend is an Adivasi from West Bengal, and the stuff I heard about her, the way the tea plantations have replaced people's lands is horrible. So the person who asked how long it's been going on for an article, it's with Vedanta and Bauxite from 2014. This is what I mean. People across the villages question the government officials and police for not following due process in connecting the Gram Sabhas. They've also resisted signing the consent forms. In the villages of Sagabari and Aliguna, the police, district administration, and the company officials had to turn back in the face of strong resistance from villagers. However, the police and company officials have managed to conduct Gram Sabhas forcefully in villages like Chulbari village, meaning this Gram Panchayat that we talked about here. These guys have taken over the local democratic structures of the village, and they have held basically democratic hearings, quote unquote democratic hearings. Do tribals want no mining ever, or do they want adequate compensation or sharing of profit? My understanding is that they want no mining whatsoever on their land. It's because it holds religious value for them. It holds beliefs. It holds deep spiritual meaning for them. So they don't want mining on their hills. Kai Peter, we're talking about indigenous people resisting a mining company that is trying to mine on indigenous land. No mining, it's their land, and also it ruins the environment around them. Yes. This kind of destruction that mining does kills the kind of environment that they've lived in for generations. Exactly. Yeah, they want no mining whatsoever on their land. It's their land. If you took one look at places like Chhattisgarh, you'd know exactly. A few regions, like the mining companies, have ruined the environment. Like people have been, like indigenous people have been literally poisoned. They've literally had to drink water. They've literally been poisoned by the actions of the Vedanta Mining Corporation. They've literally been poisoned by the actions of the Vedanta Mining Corporation. So of course they don't want anything to do with they don't want any mining on their land. But the police, as the rabid dogs of capital as they are, have decided to come in and literally take over the local democratic structures that these indigenous people had. They've basically, okay, to give you an idea of what's happening, the cops have basically taken over the local democratic structure of indigenous people. Let me put it this way. Imagine if, how do I put it? Imagine if police and members of Keystone XL took over the governing institutions of the Lakota reservation, of the various Sioux reservations. That's what's happening here. Okay? What is happening right now is that imagine if local North Dakota cops or whatever, Fargo cops, the Fargo Police Department, alongside the Keystone members of the Keystone XL of the Keystone XL Pipeline Company, took over the Sioux Nation's governing structures. That's what's happening in Odisha right now. Their local governing institutions have been taken over by the cops and members of the mining corporations that want to exploit indigenous land. That is what's happening in Odisha right now. Undeclared emergency, no democracy for you. Exactly. It's like they've lived their whole lives on that land and they will die trying to keep living on that land because it directly attacks their means of sustenance. Yes. When I went to Chhattisgarh, they literally blamed the Adivasis themselves for their bad conditions and consistent alcoholism and low literacy when right in the next village there was a mining company. Oh, glad to know that there also there's a stereotype in India about Adivasis, indigenous people, being alcoholics. Guys, I didn't even know. I didn't know that there was a stereotype about indigenous Indians being alcoholics. This I didn't know. I didn't know this. Oh, look, the parallels are uncanny. Native Americans? No, they're not Native Americans. They're Native Indians. These guys are Native Indians. The guys that we're talking about right now. They're Indians. They're Adivasis. Parents of kids were blamed for being alcoholic when they weren't getting jobs. Native Americans had the same shit levied against them when Americans gave them the alcohol. The same thing. The same thing happens. The same thing is happening in India. Indigenous people are getting blamed for being alcoholics when it's the Indians, when it's the other Indians literally giving them the alcohol. When it's literally the other Indians giving them the booze. I saw teachers from Uttar Pradesh being dismissed as yeah, of course, Uttar Pradesh teachers are going to be like that. But, yeah, of course. It's crazy. The independence of a core democratic institution, the Gram Sabha, and the freedom of the people to voice their opinions without fear has been gravely violated in the entire process. Given the above, the violation of all due process, we, the undersigned, express our outrage and concern over the violation of the rights of indigenous people of Sijimali Hills, demand the proper implementation of the Forest Rights Act 2006 to ensure the indigenous people their right to their land, nutrition, health, and income, and call upon Odisha government to cancel the mining lease granted to Vedanta Limited.